You've heard it your whole life. Eat more vegetables. It's the key to staying healthy. But what if that advice isn't completely true? At least not after 60. Here's a shocking fact most doctors never tell their patients. Some vegetables can actually raise your risk of stroke overnight. Not fast food, not bacon, not dessert, but vegetables, foods you've trusted your entire life to protect your heart. Sounds impossible, right? Yet new research shows that certain vegetables can quietly spike your blood pressure, thin your blood too much, or trigger circulation problems while you sleep, especially if your arteries or kidneys are already under stress. Let's take a step back and think about this. After 60, your body doesn't process foods the same way it did at 30 or 40. Your circulation slows down, your blood vessels stiffen, your kidneys become more sensitive to sodium, potassium, and nitrates. So even something as innocent as a plate of spinach, tomatoes, or beets, foods we once praised as superfoods, can suddenly backfire. And that's exactly why so many seniors wake up dizzy, lightheaded, or with a strange tingling in their hands or legs. It's not always aging. Sometimes it's dinner. In today's video, we're breaking down the 10 vegetables that can secretly raise your stroke risk overnight, and what's really happening inside your body when you eat them. You'll learn why certain leafy greens can thin your blood too much, how nightshade vegetables can constrict your blood vessels, which heart-healthy veggies can actually interfere with your medications, and most importantly, I'll show you which vegetables you should eat instead, ones that protect your arteries, improve circulation, and help you sleep safely through the night. Because eating healthy after 60 isn't just about choosing vegetables, it's about choosing the right vegetables for your heart, your blood, and your age. Vegetable number 1. Spinach. For decades, spinach has been praised as one of the healthiest foods on the planet. It's low in calories, rich in iron, and full of vitamins. Many seniors even make it a daily habit, adding it to smoothies, omelets, or salads, believing it's keeping their heart young. But here's the surprising truth. For people over 60, eating too much spinach can actually increase the risk of stroke. It all comes down to what's inside those deep green leaves. Spinach is extremely rich in vitamin K, a nutrient that plays an essential role in blood clotting. While that sounds like a good thing, it becomes a serious problem if you're taking blood-thinning medications such as warfarin or Coumadin. You see, these medications are designed to prevent blood clots, one of the main causes of stroke. But when you consume large amounts of vitamin K, it can interfere with your medication, making your blood either too thick or too thin. Too thick, and you risk a clot forming in your brain. Too thin, and you risk internal bleeding. It's a delicate balance, and spinach can quietly tip the scale in the wrong direction. There's another hidden issue. Spinach is loaded with oxalates, natural compounds that combine with calcium in your body. Over time, these oxalates may contribute to kidney stones or calcium depletion, both of which can affect circulation and blood pressure. For seniors who often have weaker kidneys or fluctuating electrolyte levels, that can mean trouble. Let's look at a real-life example. Margaret, a 72-year-old retired nurse, switched to a green diet after her doctor warned her about her cholesterol. She started drinking spinach smoothies every morning, believing she was doing everything right. But within 2 months, her blood test showed her INR, a measure of how thin your blood is, had changed dramatically. Her doctor immediately noticed that her warfarin dosage wasn't working properly. The culprit? Too much vitamin K from spinach. Margaret wasn't in danger yet, but she was close. That's how subtle it can be. You don't feel it happening. You just think you're eating healthy. Now, this doesn't mean spinach is bad, or that you should stop eating it completely. Spinach has plenty of benefits: fiber, iron, and antioxidants that protect your cells. The key is balance and timing. If you're on blood thinners, your intake of vitamin K needs to stay consistent, not high one day and low the next. Instead of eating large spinach salads or daily green juices, try rotating your greens. Use romaine, lettuce, or arugula on some days. And always let your doctor know if you're making big dietary changes. Here's the takeaway. Spinach isn't the enemy. But after 60, your body changes, and even the healthiest foods can work against you if you don't understand how they interact with your medications and your blood. So the next time you fill your plate with spinach, remember, what's good for the young heart may not always be safe for the aging one. Eat smart, stay balanced, and keep your doctor in the loop. Vegetable number 2. Beets. Beets are one of those vegetables that everyone calls a superfood. They're beautiful, earthy, and full of color. For years, nutritionists have recommended beet juice for better blood pressure and improved stamina. And yes, for younger adults, that's often true. But for many seniors, beets can quietly trigger circulation problems and even increase the risk of stroke, especially if eaten the wrong way or at the wrong time. Let's explain why. Beets are rich in natural nitrates, compounds that the body converts into nitric oxide, which relaxes blood vessels and improves blood flow. That's what makes them popular among athletes. But in older adults, where blood vessel flexibility and kidney function are often reduced, this same process can backfire. When nitrate levels suddenly rise, nitric oxide causes a rapid drop in blood pressure, sometimes within an hour of eating or drinking beet juice. For seniors who already take medication for high blood pressure or circulation, this can lead to dangerously low nighttime blood pressure. And low pressure means less blood flow to the brain, especially while sleeping, when stroke risk peaks. There's another hidden problem. Beet juice often concentrates these nitrates, making the effects much stronger. A small glass may seem harmless, but it can create a big spike and then a sharp crash overnight. I once worked with a patient named George, 68 years old, who started drinking a glass of beet juice before bed after reading that it improves circulation. Within a few weeks, he noticed he was waking up dizzy, with blurry vision and fatigue in the mornings. His doctor later confirmed that his blood pressure was dropping too low at night, likely from the beet juice. When he switched to drinking it earlier in the day, the symptoms disappeared. And that's the key: timing and moderation. Beets are also rich in oxalates, which can contribute to kidney stones and calcium loss, issues that already affect many older adults. If your kidneys aren't working at full strength, oxalate buildup can increase inflammation and make blood pressure harder to control. This doesn't mean beets are bad. They're full of antioxidants, potassium, and folate, all good for your arteries and brain. But the difference between medicine and mistake often comes down to when and how you eat them. Here's how to make beets safer for seniors. Eat small portions, about half a cup of cooked beets or one small beet at a time. Avoid drinking concentrated beet juice at night. Pair them with foods rich in calcium or magnesium, such as yogurt or almonds, to balance oxalates. And if you take blood pressure medication, check your readings regularly and mention beets to your doctor. The lesson? Beets can help your heart, but they can also make it work too hard if you're not careful. After 60, even healthy foods need a bit of strategy. So if you love beets, keep them in your diet. But enjoy them smartly, during the day, in small amounts, and always with awareness of how your body reacts. Because good circulation isn't just about what you eat. It's also about when you eat it. Vegetable number 3. Celery. Celery is one of those vegetables that everyone associates with health. It's crisp, refreshing, and low in calories. Many seniors drink celery juice every morning, believing it cleanses the body, lowers blood pressure, and keeps the heart young. But here's the truth most people don't realize. Celery is powerful. but too much of it can actually make your circulation unstable and increase your risk of stroke. Let's break this down. Celery is a natural diuretic, which means it helps your body get rid of excess water and sodium through urination. That sounds great for people with high blood pressure, but it's a double-edged sword. When you lose too much fluid or electrolytes, especially potassium and sodium, your blood volume drops. And when blood volume drops, your blood pressure can crash, sometimes overnight. For older adults whose circulation is already more sensitive, that sudden dip can cause dizziness, fainting, or even a mini stroke while sleeping. There's another layer to this. Many seniors already take diuretic medications like hydrochlorothiazide or furosemide to control their blood pressure or heart failure. When you combine those medications with celery juice, the effects can multiply. The result? Dangerous dehydration and electrolyte imbalance. Your heart needs potassium and sodium to keep a steady rhythm. When those minerals get flushed out too quickly, your heartbeat can become irregular, a condition called arrhythmia, and that can trigger clot formation, leading to a higher risk of stroke. Let's make this more relatable. Diane, a 70-year-old retired teacher, started drinking 2 glasses of celery juice a day after watching a health video online. Within a few weeks, she began feeling weak and dizzy, especially at night. One morning, she almost fainted while getting out of bed. When she went to her doctor, tests showed that her potassium levels were too low and her blood pressure was dropping dangerously overnight. The doctor's first question? "Have you been drinking celery juice?" Diane was shocked. She thought she was doing the healthiest thing possible. The truth is, celery isn't bad. It's just stronger than most people think. A small amount can help lower mild hypertension, but large amounts, especially combined with medication, can push things too far. Here's how to use celery safely after 60. Eat it as a snack or salad topping, not as daily juice. Limit celery juice to a few ounces, not full glasses. Avoid drinking it late in the evening when your blood pressure naturally dips. And if you're on heart or blood pressure medication, let your doctor know before adding celery juice to your routine. Celery is nature's diuretic, but when overused, it can dehydrate your body and leave your brain vulnerable during the night. So remember, the key isn't to avoid celery altogether, but to treat it with respect. In small amounts, it's a heart helper. In excess, it can quietly become a heart hazard. And sometimes, the difference between healing and harm is just 1 extra glass. Vegetable number 4. Kale kale has become the poster child of modern health. It's in smoothies, salads, even chips. You see it at every health food store and hear it praised by doctors and dietitians everywhere. Eat more kale, they say. It's loaded with antioxidants, fiber, and calcium. And they're not wrong. But here's something most people don't know. After age 60, kale can quietly become one of the most complicated vegetables for your heart. Let's unpack why. Kale belongs to the same family as spinach, meaning it's extremely high in vitamin K, even higher in fact. Just 1 cup of cooked kale contains almost 7 times your daily recommended amount. And as we mentioned earlier, vitamin K is crucial for blood clotting. But for older adults taking blood thinners like warfarin, eating large or inconsistent amounts of kale can completely throw off your medication's effectiveness. Here's how it happens. Your medication is designed to keep your blood from clotting too easily. But when you suddenly eat more kale than usual, say a big kale salad for dinner, it floods your system with vitamin K, causing your blood to clot faster than intended. That raises the risk of a stroke or blood clot in the brain or heart. Even worse, kale isn't just about vitamin K. It also contains compounds called goitrogens, which can interfere with thyroid function when consumed in large amounts, especially if eaten raw. Your thyroid plays a major role in regulating heart rate and blood pressure. When it slows down, your metabolism dips, your heart beats irregularly, and your circulation weakens, all subtle changes that can add up to a higher stroke risk over time. Let's take a real story. Roger, a 74-year-old retired firefighter, decided to go all green after his doctor told him his cholesterol was high. He started blending kale smoothies every morning, thinking he was protecting his heart. But a month later, he began feeling unusually tired. His heart rhythm became irregular, and his lab results showed his blood thinner wasn't working properly. His doctor traced it back to one thing: his daily kale smoothies. The problem wasn't that Roger ate kale. It's that he didn't realize how powerful it really was. Here's what older adults can do to enjoy kale safely. Keep your intake consistent. Don't eat huge amounts one day and none the next. Cook kale lightly. Steaming helps reduce goitrogens and improves digestion. Avoid raw kale smoothies if you have thyroid or blood clotting concerns. Talk to your doctor before making kale a daily staple, especially if you're on blood thinners. The truth is, kale is a nutrient powerhouse, but in the aging body, power needs balance. Too much of a good thing can turn against you. So instead of making kale your daily main course, treat it as a side dish. Rotate your greens with others like romaine, arugula, or chard. That variety not only protects your heart, it keeps your body's chemistry stable. Remember, after 60, the goal isn't just to eat healthy foods. It's to eat smart foods, and kale, in moderation, can still be part of that plan. Vegetable number 5. Tomatoes. Tomatoes are often seen as one of the healthiest foods you can eat. They're colorful, juicy, and packed with antioxidants. Doctors and dietitians have praised them for decades for their high content of lycopene, a compound known to protect against heart disease. But here's something most seniors don't realize. For people over 60, especially those on heart or blood pressure medication, tomatoes can sometimes make circulation problems worse. Let's talk about why. Tomatoes belong to a group of plants called nightshades, which also includes potatoes, eggplants, and peppers. These plants naturally contain compounds called alkaloids, and in tomatoes, the most common one is tomatine. In small amounts, tomatine isn't harmful. But when eaten in excess, especially in concentrated forms like tomato paste, juice, or sauces, it can cause inflammation in the joints and blood vessels, particularly in people with pre-existing inflammation or autoimmune conditions. For older adults whose arteries are already more fragile, this inflammation can make blood vessels less flexible, raising blood pressure and, over time, increasing stroke risk. There's another issue. Tomatoes are acidic, and when eaten late at night or in large portions, they can trigger acid reflux. Most people just think of reflux as a digestion issue, but it actually affects the cardiovascular system too. When stomach acid rises into the chest, it can mimic heart pain, disrupt sleep, and, most dangerously, cause blood pressure spikes during the night. Let's consider a real example. Helen, a 69-year-old retiree, loved her nightly bowl of tomato soup. She believed it was light and heart-healthy. But over time, she noticed that she often woke up in the middle of the night with a tight chest and a pounding pulse. Her doctor eventually traced the problem not to her heart directly, but to her diet. The combination of high acidity, sodium, and nightshade compounds in her evening meals was irritating her blood vessels and raising her blood pressure overnight. Here's another hidden danger. Many canned or processed tomato products are loaded with sodium. One serving of tomato sauce can contain over 700 milligrams of salt, which can easily push older adults over their daily limit, especially those with hypertension. But this doesn't mean tomatoes are the enemy. Far from it. Lycopene, the main antioxidant in tomatoes, is incredibly beneficial for the heart. It helps lower LDL cholesterol and protects against arterial plaque. The key is how you eat them. Here's how to make tomatoes safer after 60. Avoid eating them late at night. The acidity can raise nighttime blood pressure. Limit canned or processed tomato sauces. Choose fresh tomatoes instead. Cook tomatoes with olive oil. It helps your body absorb lycopene more effectively and gently reduces acidity. And if you notice joint pain or swelling after eating tomato-heavy meals, try cutting back for a week to see if your body feels better. Tomatoes can be a heart protector or a hidden trigger, depending on your age, your health, and your habits. After 60, it's not just what's on your plate that matters. It's how your body reacts to it. Vegetable number 6, cabbage. For generations, cabbage has been a staple on the dinner table, boiled, stir-fried, or turned into coleslaw. It's cheap, filling, and often considered one of the simplest healthy vegetables around. Many seniors love it because it's easy to chew and gentle on the stomach. But here's something that surprises many older adults. While cabbage has real health benefits, eating it the wrong way, or in excess, can quietly increase your risk of stroke. Let's take a closer look. Cabbage, especially green and red varieties, is another vegetable that's extremely rich in vitamin K. Just 1 cup of cooked cabbage provides nearly your full day's recommended amount. That's a good thing for most people. But for seniors taking blood-thinning medications like warfarin, it can become a real problem. When your diet suddenly changes, say, you eat a lot of cabbage soup one week and none the next, it can cause your blood's clotting ability to swing unpredictably. If your blood becomes too thick, it increases the risk of forming clots that can block blood flow to the brain, leading to a stroke. There's another issue many people never think about: sodium. Cabbage itself is naturally low in sodium, but most cabbage dishes, especially sauerkraut or pickled cabbage, are not. These fermented or preserved versions can contain up to 1,500 milligrams of sodium per serving, more than half of your daily limit. For older adults, excess sodium causes fluid retention, raises blood pressure, and makes the heart work harder, especially at night when circulation slows. Let's talk about a common story. Henry, a 73-year-old retired engineer, began eating sauerkraut every evening because he heard fermented foods were good for digestion. But within a few months, his blood pressure readings were climbing again, even though his diet was clean. When his doctor reviewed his sodium intake, the culprit was clear. His nightly sauerkraut habit was overloading his body with salt, tightening his arteries, and stressing his heart. And there's one more hidden layer. Cabbage can cause gas and bloating, especially when eaten raw or in large quantities. That might sound harmless, but for older adults with acid reflux or heart conditions, it can put pressure on the diaphragm, making breathing slightly more difficult and causing the heart to work harder than necessary. So what should you do if you love cabbage? You don't need to give it up. Just eat it smartly. Here's how. Stick to moderate portions. About half a cup cooked 2 to 3 times a week. Avoid heavily salted or pickled versions, especially in the evening. If you're on blood thinners, try to keep your cabbage intake consistent each week. Cook it gently, such as steaming or stir-frying, rather than eating it raw every time. Cabbage can still be part of a heart-healthy diet. It's rich in antioxidants, vitamin C, and fiber. But for seniors, balance is everything. Because after 60, your body doesn't just react to what you eat. It reacts to how much and how often. And sometimes, even something as humble as cabbage can tip the scales between health and harm. Vegetable number 7. Eggplant. At first glance, eggplant seems completely harmless. It's soft, easy to digest, and shows up in countless heart-healthy recipes, from grilled Mediterranean platters to vegetable casseroles. Its deep purple skin makes people believe it must be loaded with antioxidants, and that's true. But here's the part almost no one talks about. For people over 60, eggplant can quietly irritate the nervous system, raise inflammation, and even increase stroke risk, especially when eaten too often. Let's explain why. Eggplant belongs to the nightshade family, just like tomatoes, potatoes, and peppers. That means it naturally contains compounds called solanine and nicotine-like alkaloids. While these compounds are harmless in small doses, they can cause real trouble for seniors with sensitive blood vessels, nerve conditions, or circulatory issues. Solanine can increase inflammation inside blood vessel walls, making them less flexible and more likely to constrict under pressure. When blood vessels tighten, blood flow to the brain decreases, and that's where stroke risk begins to rise. And here's the hidden twist. Eggplant contains trace amounts of a nicotine-like compound. That's right, eating one large eggplant can actually expose you to as much nicotine as a puff of cigarette smoke. It's not enough to cause addiction, of course, but it can mildly raise heart rate and blood pressure, particularly in older adults who are already hypertensive or sensitive to stimulants. Now picture this common scenario. Richard, a 70-year-old widower, switched to a mostly plant-based diet after his doctor warned him about his cholesterol. His favorite dish became roasted eggplant with olive oil, a clean dinner he made almost every night. But over time, he noticed something odd. His hands would tingle, his heart rate would spike after dinner, and he'd wake up at night feeling flushed. When he mentioned it during a checkup, his doctor explained that eggplant, though healthy in some ways, was overactivating his circulation and possibly interfering with his medication for high blood pressure. The problem wasn't the eggplant itself. It was the frequency and the body's sensitivity. There's one more risk worth mentioning. Eggplant tends to absorb oil like a sponge. When fried or sautéed, it soaks up large amounts of fat and sodium, both of which can increase cholesterol and blood pressure, undoing any potential benefits of the vegetable itself. So what's the takeaway for older adults? Eggplant can still be enjoyed, but with caution and moderation. Limit to once or twice a week. Avoid fried or heavily salted eggplant dishes. Instead, roast or grill with minimal oil. Pair with anti-inflammatory foods like turmeric or olive oil to balance out the effects of solanine. And if you notice symptoms like tingling, dizziness, or flushing after eating eggplant, cut back and talk to your doctor. Eggplant may look like a heart-healthy vegetable, but after 60, your body's response changes. What once helped your heart stay strong can suddenly make it race. So as with many things in life, the secret isn't in cutting it out, it's in knowing when to stop. Vegetable number 8, potatoes. If there's one vegetable most Americans can't imagine living without, it's the potato. Mashed, baked, or fried, potatoes are everywhere. For decades, they've been considered a comfort food, something warm and familiar on every dinner plate. And while potatoes are technically a vegetable, for seniors, they're often one of the most dangerous, healthy foods on the table, especially when it comes to stroke and blood pressure. Here's why. Potatoes are incredibly high in starch, which breaks down into glucose, the purest form of sugar in your body. A single medium-baked potato can raise your blood sugar faster than a can of soda. When blood sugar spikes, insulin surges follow. Over time, that constant roller coaster can damage blood vessel walls, make them stiff, and raise inflammation, creating the perfect storm for stroke and heart disease. And it doesn't stop there. Most older adults eat potatoes not in their pure form, but as French fries, chips, or mashed potatoes with salt and butter, all of which pack huge amounts of sodium and saturated fat. A single serving of fries from a restaurant can contain over 400 milligrams of sodium. And let's be honest, few people stop at one serving. That excess sodium pulls water into your bloodstream, increases pressure on artery walls, and forces your heart to pump harder. And when that happens night after night, the arteries in your brain start to weaken. A silent setup for a stroke. Let me tell you about Walter, a 75-year-old from Ohio. Walter was proud of eating real food instead of processed meals. Every evening he made baked potatoes with a pinch of salt and butter. It felt harmless, certainly healthier than fast food. But his blood pressure kept creeping up, and his doctor couldn't figure out why. When they finally reviewed his diet, the culprit was clear. That pinch of salt wasn't as small as he thought, and baked potatoes, eaten daily, were flooding his system with simple carbs and sodium. Once he cut his portions in half and replaced some potatoes with steamed vegetables like cauliflower and broccoli, his blood pressure dropped within weeks. But here's something few people know. Potatoes are also rich in potassium, which is usually good for the heart, unless you're taking certain medications. For seniors on ACE inhibitors or potassium-sparing diuretics, eating too many potatoes can cause dangerously high potassium levels, hyperkalemia, leading to irregular heartbeat or even cardiac arrest. So how can you enjoy potatoes safely after 60? Here are a few smart steps. Limit portion size to half a medium potato per meal and don't eat them every day. Skip the fries and chips. The sodium and oils destroy any benefit. Boil or bake instead of frying and avoid adding salt. Use herbs or olive oil for flavor. Balance your plate. Pair potatoes with fiber-rich vegetables and lean proteins to slow sugar absorption. Potatoes aren't evil. They're comforting, nostalgic, and full of memories. But after 60, your metabolism and circulation change. What once gave you energy can now quietly raise your blood pressure and strain your arteries. The bottom line? You don't have to say goodbye to potatoes. Just treat them like a treat, not a staple. Because sometimes, the foods that feel safest are the ones that deserve the most respect. Vegetable number 9, bamboo shoots. Bamboo shoots, those crisp, tender pieces often found in Asian stir-fries or soups, look innocent enough. They're low in calories, high in fiber, and have been part of traditional Asian diets for thousands of years. Many seniors see them as a healthy alternative to starchy vegetables. But here's the hidden truth. For people over 60, especially those with heart or kidney issues, bamboo shoots can quietly increase the risk of high blood pressure spikes and even stroke, if not prepared properly. Let's talk about why. Fresh bamboo shoots naturally contain compounds called cyanogenic glycosides, a fancy term for chemicals that can release cyanide when not fully cooked. Now, that doesn't mean you'll be poisoned from a few bites, but it does mean that improperly boiled or fermented bamboo can put stress on your liver, kidneys, and circulation system, organs that are already more sensitive with age. Even small traces of these compounds can cause blood vessel constriction, dizziness, and nausea, symptoms that many seniors mistake for just getting old. Over time, this can affect oxygen delivery to the brain, subtly increasing the risk of vascular complications like mini-strokes, TIAS. And there's more. Bamboo shoots are very high in potassium and oxalates. For seniors with reduced kidney function, that combination can spell trouble. Too much potassium can disrupt the heart's electrical rhythm, while oxalates can interfere with calcium absorption and promote kidney stone formation, both of which strain the cardiovascular system. Let's take a real example. Linda, a 68-year-old woman who loved Asian cooking, started adding bamboo shoots to her stir-fries several times a week. She believed they were light and healthy. But soon she began experiencing heart palpitations and lightheadedness after dinner. Her doctor ran tests and discovered her potassium levels were too high, partly because of her diet and partly because of her kidney medication. Once she reduced bamboo shoots and replaced them with bok choy and green beans, her symptoms disappeared. The problem isn't the bamboo itself, it's how it's prepared and how often it's eaten. Here's how to make it safer. Never eat raw bamboo shoots. Always boil them for at least 20 to 30 minutes and discard the water. Avoid canned bamboo packed in salt brine. It's extremely high in sodium, which can raise blood pressure. Don't eat bamboo shoots daily. Once or twice a week is plenty. If you have kidney problems, check with your doctor before including them in your meals. Bamboo shoots can add flavor and texture to your diet, but they're not as gentle as they seem. After 60, your heart, kidneys, and circulation need extra care, and even traditional foods can turn risky if you don't understand their hidden chemistry. So enjoy bamboo for what it is, a delicacy, not a daily vegetable, because sometimes the things that seem lightest can carry the heaviest consequences. Vegetable number 10, bitter melon. If you've ever tried bitter melon, you know it lives up to its name. That sharp, bitter taste is unforgettable. In many Asian cultures, bitter melon is considered medicine. It's used to lower blood sugar, cool the body, and cleanse the blood. But here's the truth. After 60, bitter melon can be both a healer and a hidden danger, especially for your heart and brain. Let's talk about why. Bitter melon contains compounds called charantin and vicine, which act almost like natural insulin. They help the body use sugar more efficiently, which sounds great, especially for people with type 2 diabetes. But for seniors already taking diabetes medication or insulin, this can be a serious problem. When both the medication and the bitter melon lower blood sugar at the same time, it can lead to hypoglycemia, a condition where your blood sugar drops too low. What does that mean for your brain? Low blood sugar starves your brain of energy, leading to dizziness, blurred vision, confusion, and, in extreme cases, loss of consciousness or even stroke-like episodes. Let's make this real. John, a 71-year-old retired veteran, started drinking bitter melon juice every morning after reading online that it could reverse diabetes. Within 2 weeks, he began feeling shaky and weak, especially in the late morning. One day, while walking his dog, he collapsed. When the paramedics checked him, his blood sugar had plummeted to a dangerously low level. His doctor later confirmed that his diabetes medication plus the bitter melon juice had created a perfect storm. There's more. Bitter melon is also very strong on the circulatory system. It can cause a sudden drop in blood pressure, especially when consumed on an empty stomach. For older adults already dealing with hypertension medication, this sudden drop can reduce blood flow to the brain and heart, leading to dizziness or even fainting. And one more hidden danger. The seeds of bitter melon contain a compound called vicine, which can be toxic in large amounts, especially for people with glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase G6PD deficiency, a condition that's more common than most realize in older populations. It can trigger fatigue, anemia, and poor oxygen circulation, all of which strain the heart. Now, does this mean you should avoid bitter melon completely? Not necessarily. It can still be part of a heart-friendly diet if you use it wisely. Here's how to make it safer. Never drink bitter melon juice on an empty stomach. Avoid eating the seeds. They're the most toxic part. If you take diabetes or blood pressure medications, talk to your doctor first. Keep portions small, a few slices in a stir-fry or soup, not a full glass of juice. Listen to your body. If you feel dizzy, tired, or weak afterward, stop immediately. Bitter melon can be your friend or your foe. It all depends on how much you eat and how well you understand your body's signals. After 60, health isn't about following every superfood trend. It's about balance, knowing that even natural medicine can turn dangerous when used without care. So yes, eat your greens, but remember, not all greens are gentle. Sometimes, the bitter truth is the one that keeps you alive. If there's one thing I hope you take away from today's video, it's this. Not every healthy food stays healthy forever, especially after 60. Your body changes. Your circulation slows down. Your heart and brain respond differently to the foods you've eaten your entire life. And that's why it's so important to listen to your body, to your doctor, and to the science. Many of the vegetables we talked about today, spinach, kale, tomatoes, beets, they're not bad. They're simply powerful. And when your metabolism changes with age, that power can work for you or against you. Sometimes it's not what you eat that matters most. It's when, how often, and how much. Because even the healthiest vegetable can quietly strain your heart or raise your stroke risk if it's eaten without awareness. But here's the good news. Once you understand how your body reacts, you can make smarter choices. You can enjoy the foods you love, protect your heart, and keep your brain strong. All it takes is balance, mindfulness, and a little bit of knowledge, the kind that keeps you safe while still letting you enjoy life. So the next time you prepare your favorite salad or veggie dish, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, is this helping my circulation or stressing it? That one small question could make all the difference. And remember, it's never too late to take control of your health. Every small change you make today can help protect your heart, your brain, and your independence tomorrow. If you found this video helpful, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Senior Health Tips. We post new, science-based videos every week to help you live stronger, longer, and healthier, without confusion or fear. Because staying healthy after 60 isn't about perfection. It's about understanding. And when you understand your body, you take back your power. Stay well, take care of your heart, and I'll see you in the next video.